food, or excuse me, a year's worth of food in about 6 months. So every fish that they can get is extremely valuable to them. Number 480 is maybe one of the most favorite bears that people see on the bear cam. This is kind of a classic Otis posture that he has right there, sitting. Very good over time. If the salmon happen to fail to arrive, then these bears would eventually move on and see if salmon are in other locations. But it seems like they somehow know that this is pretty early in the salmon run. If they just give it a little bit more time, it seems like they've experienced in the past that they'll be rewarded. Oh, and number 83 just caught a fish. He was just rewarded for that patience. So we'll take a look at him as he eats this fish. He might move to the bank on the far side. And that might be just for a little bit of security. Bears do steal fish from other bears. In fact, 83 has done that today. And you can see that big open wound on his backside. That's not necessarily something that's going to hinder his survival. It can't feel good, of course, but his mobility doesn't seem to be impaired in any way. He had a very large open wound in almost the same spot last year, and he healed from that, and it was a pretty big bear in the fall. In fact, there's a blog post on Explore.org's blog that I wrote last week about that, before he got that big butt wound. But bears are very resilient creatures. They're incredibly tough. They deal with injury and pain that would put humans in the hospital for days, weeks, and maybe even kill us outright if we didn't have medical attention. But they're extremely, extremely tough animals. And he's eating this fish pretty quick. Sometimes I like to time how quickly the bears eat the fish. I've seen bears eat a whole, 4 to 7 pound salmon in less than a minute. He's eating it fairly quickly. I don't think he's gonna break any speed records with his with the speed that he's eating it right now. But he's eating the whole thing, and that indicates that he hasn't had a lot of fish today. When bears are really well fed, they'll leave a lot of the less energetic parts of the fish behind, like the entrails, the gill plates, even sometimes the salmon flesh. The fattiest parts of the fish are the skin, the brains, and the eggs. So calorie per calorie, if you can just eat skin, brains, and eggs, you're gonna, an ounce per ounce, you're gonna gain more calories by eating those parts versus, trying to fill up on bones and entrails. So obviously he's not done. He's going right back to that same spot. This is a place that he's fished repeatedly over the past several years. And look at that. So there was a salmon just pooled right in that little spot there. He felt it and he grabbed it. So again, quite a skilled bear for that spot right near the log. And I didn't time it last time, how quickly he ate it. We'll see. Maybe we can just judge. If nothing else of interest comes up, we'll watch him eat this fish, see if he eats it just as quickly. Bears, when they eat salmon, they often start at the tail. Seems like it's the belly. That seems like it's the easiest place to break through that tough skin. When they hold on to these slippery fish that are really fighting for their lives, that also demonstrates just how strong these bears are. Again, that's upwards of a 7-pound fish that's wiggling around in their mouth. And if you've ever tried to fillet a salmon, the skin is actually quite tough. It's a clean cut. But the bears seem to have really no problem tearing straight through that skin. The gulls that are here, they have a much harder time doing that. If a bear hasn't broken into that salmon flesh and through the skin, then the gulls have a much harder time getting to those nutritious parts. So that was fairly quick. You can see he has some salmon gore on his muzzle. While that was happening, 747 also caught a fish in the jacuzzi, kind of exited the jacuzzi just a little bit to eat it. Now he's right back at it. Caught a fish in the jacuzzi, kind of exited the jacuzzi just a little bit to eat it. Now he's right back at it. There's a few salmon jumping right now. So maybe it seems like we've had a small little pulse of fish. So he has another one. This is his second one in just a few moments. We'll take a look at how he decides if he lets us. He's shooting us the moon right now. But he always seems to turn his back to the wildlife viewing platform that I'm standing on. But he's very efficient at eating salmon too. Quickly strips the skin off. Goes to grow larger. Of course, it depends on how many salmon you catch. And you can see that 747 is very good at fishing that jacuzzi when the fish are there. So he was sitting there for quite a while without catching many fish at all. And that doesn't mean that he's not skilled at fishing that spot. That probably means there's just not a lot of salmon in there. But the patience paid off. So if you're keeping track at home, I think he caught one salmon right as we started the broadcast. He's just eaten 2. This is his 4th in a half hour or so. Or I give a half-hearted attempt. We'll see if he pursues that. He did chase him downstream just a little bit, but then decided maybe it's not worth the effort. 814 is another bear that does steal fish. 83, isn't as big as him, but he's still pretty big. So perhaps 814 Lurch here decided, you know what, that bear is just a little too big for me to try to steal that fish. It's not worth the risk. Bears are often weighing risk versus reward when they challenge other bears. So 83 on the far bank over there, still eating his fish. Closer to us here, 747 still munching on that one that he caught recently. Nothing really goes to waste. Of course, the gulls, they are here to gorge on that salmon as well. And then you can see that hungry bears will wait for any leftovers too. So number 480 is just standing downstream on the right.